Thank you, MC. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us in this forum session. As we know, there are two sessions going on. So if you're here with us in this session, you are interested in higher education. More than that, if you're here with us in this session, you are interested in higher education and you are interested in excellence. And yes, we have the star for the forum, Professor Dato' Mazli Malik. Welcome. Come, Prof. Yes, round of applause. Right. So, what has happened from the morning till now? We have had a lot to think about. We talked about education in Malaysia. We talked about private education in Malaysia. A lot have been put onto the shoulders of higher learning institutions, because many of us belong there or have something to do with higher learning institutions. Some of us more than others. Some of us have to do with schools, Ministry of Education, and many of the NGOs that work tirelessly to ensure that Malaysian education continue on its right path. So we understand that education has changed, leaps and bounds. I think those of us who went into universities maybe just even 10 years, 20 years ago would not be able to recognize university education today. So with all these changes, are we on the right track? If, I think mentioned by Prof. Win in the afternoon before lunch, if education in higher learning used to be an elitist phenomenon, so only a small number of people get to go into the university. Today in the 21st century, it's no longer elitist. It's opened, it's democratized, and it's made available and accessible to so many more of us. But is that good or is that bad? Do we get to promote excellence, or will there be side effects from that? So that's what we're going to discuss today. I was speaking to my panel of speakers just now, and I said that my job is made very, very easy because I've got an amazing set of speakers. As already introduced by the MC, we have people here who have years of experience in higher education and education at large. But more than that, my panel of speakers here have their hearts in the right place. They are deeply dedicated and passionate about education. And I hope this afternoon we will have what I call hard talk. We'll talk about things that perhaps might be a little bit difficult to talk about, but needs to be aired. So I will move with the questions, and I'll provide time for the speakers. So speakers, we don't have to rush. We don't have lunch to deal with. And also because we have only 6 of us, which is great. So take a couple of minutes. There are a couple of rounds of questions. But audience, please, the forum is for you. So do make sure that you have questions. You want to ask the esteemed speakers here. You have this golden opportunity to do that. So please make sure you have your questions ready. I'll try to provide ample time for audience to interact with our speakers. Now, so the first question to all speakers. Now, in very many ways, Malaysia's higher education has grown in leaps and bounds, thereby providing previously unimagined research and educational opportunities to both Malaysians, even those outside of Malaysia. So from your individual perspectives, and with your experience in the field of education, how do you think this progress has been optimized by the nation? Okay, I will put the first question to Prof. Azli. Yes. Thank you, Prof.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Chong, Suli, respected panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I think today we're going to focus on higher learning education. So regardless of wherever we are, however, the development of the higher education since years, but I think the most important thing to look is at the soul of the higher learning education itself. Today, we normally talk about certain superficial issues when it comes to higher learning education. We talked about the KPIs we want to achieve, the publications, the title, journals and whatnot. But it's for the sake of sometimes competing on a purely, let's say, framework that we created by our own. People talk about ranking and whatnot, and we're losing the very soul of university itself. So when we talk about university, we must be aware that amongst the very first universities or higher learning institutions that emerged, it was not in Europe, and it was not in Asia, unfortunately. It was in Northern Africa. It's either in Morocco or Tunisia or in Egypt. Then, the term that being used to describe a university was Jamia. Jamia has its own soul, which means integration of knowledge, accumulative accomplishment, and comprehensive excellence. So when they're looking at knowledge as one. It cannot be separated. Unlike what we have today, we have a lot of separation, demarcation between sciences, hard sciences, soft sciences, between different kind of discipline of knowledge. But then, all knowledge have been seen as one. That is not being compartmentalized. And a graduate from any university has been seen as a polymath who mastering all branches of knowledge. That was the requirement. But I'm not talking about polymath because it's impossible. Knowledge has been expanded. Knowledge has been further developed in this modern world. But what I want to look at, what Rosenthal, in his book, when he was, during his commentary on Prolegomena by Ibn Khaldun, or Muqaddimah by Ibn Khaldun, he differentiated between the term ilm and knowledge. Ilm, or in Malay we call it ilmu, normally lightly being translated as knowledge, which are actually very inaccurate. According to Rosenthal, a famous Orientalist, who specializes in Northern African thinker Ibn Khaldun, he said that the difference between ilm or ilmu and knowledge is, ilm is not only about information and knowledge in depth about something, but also it carries with it virtues, it carries with it values, and the quality of a person that possess that ilm or possess that knowledge. This is where I believe where the soul of higher learning institution should come from. And it's all begin with culture and mentality. It all starts with thinking process and self-actualization. Nowadays, when people are talking about ranking, they always talk about publication. When they talk about publication, they talk about certain achievement on certain research areas, and ended up in some occasion with unethical practices among the academics, because they are running after certain superficial things. They lost the very soul of university or Jamia. What is the very soul of university or Jamia? Is all about the culture of critical thinking and analytical thinking that must be celebrated in every minute by every members of the faculties of the university. It's about the culture of innovation and inquisitive mindset that should be nurtured and should be lived with by every single members of the university or Jamia. And the culture of problem solving and societal consciousness. This is the soul of university. University in a society is to solve the real problem of the society. A university is a place where you not only cultivate ideas, but also translating ideas into ideals and into problem solutions for the nation, for the society, and for the community. But it should start not only in the university, it should inculcate it within the life, the educational life of every single member of the society. Nowadays we have media, but again, everything should start from home and everything should start from schools. So this is where cultivating creative thinking, analytical thinking, critical thinking should be the way of life of every member of the society. And it should start with reading. The reading culture, it shouldn't be a hobby, it should be an option, it should be part of the lifestyle of a nation. So this is where, sometimes I still remember people, when I was there, people are talking about, oh, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to make sure we have this ranking, that ranking, I told them, no, we should start with the very first basic thing, which is reading. And reading is not only about reading the alphabets, reading the passages or the pages, but it also comes with thinking. What we read, we must critically analyzing it, fathoming it. We must critically, explaining it and questioning it. So the ability to question the existing norms, the ability to critically looking at the status quo and trying to find an alternative for status quo is not there. If this soul lies within all higher learning institutions, I don't think we need to talk about ranking anymore. We are there. Now, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, in our local context, some of the universities, due to their poor performance, saying that, oh, we are out of rank. We don't want to talk about ranking. We want to do away with ranking. But they're nowhere. Some emphasize a lot on ranking, so they're forcing all the staff to go for publications, ended up with a lot of unethical practices, especially with the age of AI, ChatGPT, and whatever you have nowadays.
Prof, if I can kind of bring you back to the question.
Yeah.
So is it that you're saying, therefore, the nation hasn't really optimized the progress that has happened in higher education globally? Have we, as a nation, optimized it?
It's not about optimizing what is available. It's about reviving back what we lost.
Okay. So
reading
we've lost
culture,
it.
thinking culture, critically thinking,
Yeah.
Those type of things. We're reviving back the soul of higher learning institution.
Right. And
that is
from
what
your
we
point
lost.
of view, that's at the moment
That's what we
leaves
need.
much to be desired.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Chong
Thank
Saleh.
you, Prof. Thank you, Prof. Dato' Satina, maybe you'd like to respond to that. What do you think? Is our country on the right track as far as higher education and excellence is concerned?
Thank you. Dr. Chong, thank you very much. And everyone here, my esteemed colleagues, and of course, my former minister, Dr. Mazli, Professor Dr. Mazli. And I'm frightened now because I'm talking next to my minister. And my former minister. And of course, I think to start with, we have heard what he said, that the actual, the soul of the university, which I totally agree. But at the same time, I just feel that once upon a time, while early scholars used to say that the function of higher education is only in acquiring knowledge, in getting knowledge, and just for their own sake. But nowadays, we move into another aspect of it, but those knowledge must be applicable, must be used, must be enhanced in such a way it will benefit the country. So the question is that whether we find that universities are they actually up to the mark, whether they are playing the role. I think we have so many private universities as well as public universities. I like to be very positive, and I feel they are doing great. Some of them are doing very, very well. Some of them are struggling, either with resources and something else. And at the same time, as Dr. Mazli mentioned just now, because the soul is not there. So why you are in the university, actually it's all about wanting to get a ranking, wanting to be in the Menara Gading, we call it in Bahasa Malaysia. So when we allow our children to go to the university, we do not explain to them, why do you go to the university? Is it because you want to get a good job? You want to get a good salary? But notwithstanding that, I think our country has gone very far. I just saw the ranking of the QS ranking, which I feel very proud, and some of them are from the private universities. And these are great things. But the culture of research is already there in any university for that matter. And I would really like to mention some certain university that has been doing this. Of course, we also have issues because when we talk about advancement or how the university can grow, we also talk about research. We can't help it. Without research, the lecturers will not be able to acquire more knowledge or to even share whatever they have with the community themselves. So let me put it this way. I am not disappointed, but I'm very optimistic because I think each one of the universities, now many of them are collaborating together. They are not working in silo totally. We see some private universities are working with the public universities. Even not universities, even the higher education institution like the Teachers Training Institute. I remember when I was still in the Teachers Training Institute, one of the Teachers Training Institute before, we had a fantastic collaboration with one of the public and private universities to produce our students, our trainees, so that they will become better teachers. So this is, to me, this is a positive development in our country. So if you were to ask me, what do I think the future? The future is great. But at the same time, our lecturers, our academic especially, they must understand, they must know, they must go deeper into the knowledge that they should have and the research that they should pursue, not for the sake of research alone and having them all on the library for people to see, but it must be, it should benefit not only the students, but also the rakyat overall, the community for that matter, and the society.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
it.
you, Dr.
Thank you.
Satina. I will extend continue with the conversation with maybe Prof. Muhammad Tajuddin, yeah, Prof. Zok. We are with OUM, and in fact after this with Ms. Lata as well. So with OUM, online learning, open learning, what's your take on this? Again, universities have moved leaps and bounds. What's your take on this for Malaysia, Dato'?
Okay, thank you very much to Dr. Chong, to all my esteemed panelists, and also ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tajuddin, very honored to be here. And of course, I've been listening some of the presentations since this afternoon. And I'd like to echo what has been mentioned by Dr. Mazli. I think Dr. Mazli mentioned a lot about the soul of the university, right? So, because I believe in this new academia, right? We are talking about, again, Dato' Satina also mentioned about ranking, rating, and so on. But I believe we need to go back and do a bit of self-reflection. I've been with the public universities for more than 29 years before I joined Open University. So I consider myself ambidextrous, like I've been there, I've been here. So I began to realize that we need to face the reality that we are not homogeneous, right? Universities are not homogeneous. We have public universities, we have private universities. In the public universities, you have research universities, you have concentrated universities, and private, you have conventional universities, and of course, we have online university. So I think some of you have been, I think you know that OEM has been in the establishment for the past 24 years. So if we go back to the philosophy, the spirit of the establishment of Open University in Malaysia. So it was 24 years ago. It was the idea of Tun Dr. Mahathir at that time that there must be one university to cater the needs of the masses. So we are not talking about elitist university. We are talking about the university giving a chance to people to come back, to come back to the university and improve themselves, enhance their education, and especially for those who come back for first degree. They might not have the opportunity to go directly from high school and go straight to the university because of so many constraints, right? Family constraints, not able to pursue their educations, a lot of siblings. And we are giving that wonderful opportunity for people who wants to come back to the university. So again, I see the importance of, we need to understand the purpose of the establishment of the university. So coming back to Open University Malaysia, so I can say modestly that we are the premier university in online learning, which is now we call ODDE, Open Distance Digital Education, which is now, since the post-pandemic, people are talking about online education. People are talking now about individual education. People are talking about flexible education. So they're no longer, they're moving out from that framework of, university should be so and so. You have to follow the framework. So I believe we need to go back to reality. When you assess the university, so for example, like, in the Setara and Myra rating, sometimes, it is at the disadvantage of the Open University in Malaysia because we are considered mature university, but we are being assessed based on the framework of the public university. So you see, that's the challenges that we're facing in terms of the online digital education. So again, these are my little thoughts, right? My little thoughts is that when we talk about research, I do believe research is very important. But again, when we do assessment to different universities, they have different forte. So we are doing democratization of education. We educate the masses. So we have been producing more than 110,000 alumni, where more than 50,000 are school teachers who are now currently teaching all over Malaysia. You'll be doing a nation building to the country. So again, this is where from my perspective, I believe I do support the research element, but we need also to consider that certain universities, the establishment of the university has a different forte. So we need to look at the strength of the university. So if you ask me about what are the way forward of our research area right now, I would say OEM is the expert in ODL. OEM has been doing that for the past 24 years. But this has not been, I would say, heavily mentioned even in our blueprint. Right? We never mentioned about looking at how ODL is another area of research that can change the society. We're talking about technology. We are talking about how people can learn from different location, different locality, flexible learning. But we are also giving focus to more adult learners coming back to study at the university. So again, I concur with what has been mentioned by our two panelists. I believe research is very important. Innovation is very important. But when we do assessment, right, we have to be real. We have to accept the fact that not all universities are the same. And of course, when you have a framework, you must take into consideration what will be the limitation of those universities that we access. For example, in certain areas that they don't have that capacity because we are not established to be a research university. We are more teaching university. So this is again, to me, I support the idea of research and innovation. But at the same time, we have to look into the reality of the establishment of each university so that when we do our assessment, it has to be fair to the university. Because we are also doing our part in terms of the nation building. And just to share with all of you, we are the only university in Malaysia currently educating the prisoners, which not other universities are doing. Even the public universities are not educating the prisoners. So we have prisoners, all over the country. Right now, we have about 150 prisoners doing online education with the Open University in Malaysia. So this is the area that I believe can be looked into and how we can do a lot of research in terms of how to support the education for those, the left ones, the unfortunate ones, but giving them a chance to be educated. I think that's my little point for now, yeah.
Thank you, Prof. So one size does not fit all, yeah? In fact, one size fits none, is what I always say. Ms. Lata, maybe to continue from your side as well, from a slightly different perspective, yeah? You're
Sure.
away from Malaysia, perhaps.
So hello, everyone. I thank KSI for having me here. EC Council University is actually an American accredited university. So maybe I might be able to provide a slightly different perspective to how research should actually be looked at. And before I start, I'd like to congratulate Malaysia. I'm a proud Malaysian myself. And I think, taking into account what Professor Mazli said and yourself, it definitely still matters that, Malaysia is able to be seen on the ranking and has grown in that direction. I think it's commendable. And I think it's a desire in the right direction. So my heartiest congratulations to some of those Malaysian universities. But I think we're all here to figure out how do we actually move ahead? How do we continue to improve and see more universities take on that leadership role, whether it's in research or being one of the best higher educational universities within Malaysia. And with that, I think, when we talk about research, I want us to take a couple of steps back and ask ourselves, what actually is research, right? What are the traits of individuals that conduct research? What does it take for an institution to be called a research institution? And research, is it research the same way that we are all thinking about, as in, innovation that is going to bring nations ahead? Or is it as simple as research getting into learning and discovery phases of as simple as, what each one of our higher educational universities are looking at, which is the teaching element. So research could even be as small as looking at how our teaching can be enhanced in the current environment. And I've been here from morning and privy to many of the conversations, and what I'm hearing is there is a lot of work that needs to be done in how we teach students. And that's all the way from very young children all the way to, tertiary education. So are we building a culture of research within those young minds? I think a lot of us spoke today about competencies, right? Soft skills, which is another word for it, right? We talk about critical thinking, we talk about innovation, creativeness, all of these terms, but honestly, this is exactly what's needed if we are focused on any form of research that needs to happen to bring us forward as a nation. Are we building our students to be thinking in that direction? Throughout the entire panel today, it was, I am a Malaysian. I have also attended school here in Malaysia. And I think I agreed with, one of the panelists who said that, look at the method of teaching, right? Nobody puts their hands up to answer a question or even to ask a question, right? The mindset is one of respect. If I ask a question, I'm disregarding or disrespecting my teacher. But we should actually, as educators, encourage our teachers, our faculty, our professors to start being progressive about that acceptance, because if a child or a student does not allow themselves to ask a question and live with curiosity, we're never going to be able to build a mentality or create a mindset of creative thinking, which is all what we call innovation and research. So any form of research that has to be successful has to have the creative abilities that is severely lacking, I would say, from what I've gathered today throughout these sessions that I've been present for. Being in the US, I think that's one of the largest positives in the US. They have created, now I'm not saying by any far that, comparatively one is better than the other, but something that has been successful in creating a thinking mindset amongst the American students. They're never shy to ask questions. They're never shy to be wrong, right? There's no such thing as a wrong answer. And I think that's the beauty of what I've seen, and I would love to see the Malaysian educational system have an acceptance and really move towards improving the teaching environment to be accepting that. The third thing that I think research would also enhance is the entire nation building, right? The social, economic aspects. Are we uplifting the people? Are we uplifting the nation through whatever research that we are creating? I think these are questions to be asked in order for us to represent ourselves as a research-based institution. So moving on, then we ask ourselves, okay, how do we assess this, right? How do we assess whether an institution, an educational institution, has the requisite research capabilities? Is it through the rankings that Professor Mazli and Dr. Mohammed asked, right? Is it just purely scholarly articles being written? Is it just a lot of research materials being written? Or are we going down and creating a different assessment model where we are talking about how many startups, successful startups, have been created through these research initiatives, right? How many individuals have actually enhanced the research so as to uplift community, uplift people, uplift the ability of creating a nation that is going to be proud and make an impact on the global landscape, right? I think these should honestly be the research methodologies that we should use in engaging and asking ourselves whether we are truly research-driven as an institution. And with that, I think, creative thinking is something I would really augment out there. Let's not rob our students, our individuals, our community of the thinking abilities, right? There are two different individuals, thinkers and doers. Every community needs to have, of course, a balance between the both, but thinkers are so important if we want a progressive nation. And I think that's the highest contribution higher education can make. So just to summarize, I would say that no nation can progress without innovation. No innovation can happen without research. And no research can happen without academics. So this is to just sum up my strength and my belief in research.
Thank you, Ms. Lata. Prof. Rabia, maybe on your side, what do you have to say about what the rest have said and also your own take?
First of all, thank you very much. Thank you, KSI, for inviting me. I'm Rabia Ahmad from University Tun Hussein on Malaysia. I think whatever that being explained by all the very prestigious speakers next to me, especially Prof. Mazli, Prof. Dr. Mazli, I think I'm really inspired. And then Prof. Datuk Tajuddin, I was a student when I was working with one of the public university. And what I'm trying to share with you guys, with all the audience, I try to be practical. This is all, I think, to me, I want to echo what Prof. Mazli will say. We need to make sure that university get soul of the university. So that's one thing. But we have to be realistic, as what my friend here, we have to be realistic because of everything is now evolved. University, higher institution, the evolutions of higher institution, the evolutions of knowledge, for example, everything now is evolved, transformed. So we need to have a long time ago, y equal to mx plus c. Well, it's a simple fundamental mathematics. And everyone knows that it is linear equations. But how to utilize y equal to mx plus c? We need to have data to make sure that we can educate the students how to use that, right? So, and research is not just to improve y equal to mx plus c because of the distribution is not just equal, a linear distribution, but we have too many distributions of data. right? And it's evolved, it's transformed. So we do research to make sure that we can come up with a new knowledge. But that was perhaps 20 years back, right? And then, we have community problems, we have industry problems, and everyone get back to the university to search for what sort of information or knowledge that can use to solve that certain problems. So then we do research to make sure that we can come out with a solution. We do research, we can come up with a products, or we do innovations, we do a project, and inside, when we do the project, okay, we need to be creative, analytic, and also we must have determinations. We must have determination to come out with a good solution, effective, to make sure that it is workable. Okay, it is workable. So, well, again, to me personally, ranking comes later. The most important thing is we can produce something, and the solution is marketable. The solutions can be useful, whether to the industry or the community. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to share with you, when we talk about University Tun Hussein On, I just want to explain and to share with you, we come from Malaysia Technical University. There is 4 universities: University Tun Hussein On Malaysia, University Malaysia Pahang, University Malaysia UMPSA, University Malaysia Pahang Sultan Ahmad Shah, and then University Malaysia Perlis. So this Malaysia Technical University, the aim of to have Malaysia Technical University to make sure that we can produce highly skilled talent. Okay, we are highly skilled talent, so we have to work closely with the industry. So every university, we have been set. There is a niche for every university. So, for example, our niche is transportation and sustainable technology. So we work closely to make sure that we work closely with the industry to make sure that we can produce talent, to make sure that we can produce solutions driven, solutions which highlighted by or request or demand by the industry. Okay, so for example, I'll give you an example. Because my area is computer science, so long time ago, we learn computer science, we learn assembly language and so on. And then as time goes by, programming techniques, change. From structured programming to object-oriented, and then to extreme programming. And if you can see, from a single server, okay, from a centralized server, now we have distribution, and then we have whatever devices right now. And because of the evolutions of research from university as well as industry, as well as problems demand by the industry and also the community. So to summarize, university and research, we need is actually research is part of the activity. Research is the important component in the university beside teaching and learning. But to make sure that we can produce talents that workable, talents that fulfill industry demand, and talent can serve for the community and to the nations, we must improve knowledge that we want to teach our students. So to improve, we need get back to research. We need to have innovations. We need to train our students to be critical, analytical, and against. I do agree with Professor Mazli, reading is very important. That's why in university we have theoretical subject, practical subject, and there is one subject, capstone. We call it capstone, which is it's encompassed with workshop, final year project, and inside the final year project, if you notice in the project report, it starts with introduction, literature review, methodology. And from final year project, when we go to postgraduate educations, it's almost similar, the contents, the structure of the thesis. So again, back to the research activities, we must have a problem, we have to be good in analyzing the problems, and then we have to be good in come out or do the literature review or literature analysis, and then we have to be good in come out in development, in project development, and then we have to know how to analyze the result. And at the end of the day, whether the research give impact. So that is the role of all members in the university. So, and on my final note, the most important thing is collaboration, coordinated communications, coordinated collaboration between industry, community, of course, government agency, and the rest is community. And now we have to make sure we have to think about how we can support environment. So in short, we have to follow, again, I think Kementerian Pendidikan Tinggi from Malaysia Higher Education Blueprint has mentioned about quadruple helix. And then now I think people talk about hexahelix, whereby from that 4 components, we have to add one, which is environment. So I think I stop here first. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Rabia. Datin, I've left your perspective in a way as the sort of last one for the question. Because you come from a very unique position as well. So as your position in PAGE, we are talking about higher education and soul in higher education. What do you think, the children from schools, because they are the feeder to us in higher education? What's your point of view?
Thanks for your question, Dr. Chong. When I was in the Majlis Pendidikan, Penasihat Pendidikan Kebangsaan under Dr. Mazli Malik, Dr. Satina was also a member of the MPPK. We were asked to look at schools as well as higher education. We had one session, we had a couple of sessions with higher education VCs. That was the first time I was surrounded by higher education VCs. I felt very small, but what came out of that first session was that they said, the problems happen in schools. They inherit the problems. The universities inherit the problems. So they said to us, go and look at the schools and fix that so that we won't have to fix it at higher education. So I think the next session we had with them was these were their recommendations for higher education, and that was as far as higher education went. So as far as the MPPK is concerned, we were there between 2018 and 2020. We just looked at schools, okay? And we tried to patch as much as we could. But I think my role here is, and all of you will share what I have to say, that as a parent, we try to give our best to our children at school. But even before that, we have to look at what are the jobs available on the other spectrum. For instance, now it's the buzzword is the semiconductor industry. Penang has enjoyed 60 billion ringgit worth of investments in the semiconductor industry in 2023. That is equivalent to investments in Penang through 2013 to 2020. And the remark made by the Prime Minister is that we need 50,000 engineers, but we only produce 5,000 a year. We have a severe talent shortage if we're going to move from packaging, which we are number one at, to the higher end of value manufacturing. So KL20 is going on yesterday and today. There's a lot of investors coming in. They're making deals as we speak. But again, the semiconductor industry is saying we need to bring in foreign expertise because we haven't got the expertise here. And not only that, within the semiconductor industry in Penang, 70% is foreign, only 30% is local. We should be looking at reversing the numbers, isn't it? So I think these are the things that parents read or are working already in such industries. And we want to ensure that our children are prepared when it's time to start their careers, even though it may seem a long way off. So, and what Penang does is it picks up dropouts. I know there's one organization that picks up dropouts who didn't finish SPM. They put them through an English course, and then they start them off with minimum wage. And as they do better, they get paid higher. So thus the importance of the English language in a student's life, which is why Page, we've been around since 2008. We were pursuing the science and maths and English issue then, and then it got abolished. And then I was in the team that came out with the dual language program. It wasn't just me, it was, Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers. We had Malaysian Employees Federation. In the team, there were about 100 professional organizations coming up with that dual language program. This was the radical approach that the Economic Council wanted to see in schools. And this took off in 2016 with 377 schools. Now we have 2,000 over schools. Unfortunately, there are double standards being practiced at the Ministry of Education. For instance, Sarawak has its own circular on DLP, which was produced in 2019. Only Sarawak can do 100% dual language program. Therefore, Sarawak, which started in 2020, has all its 1,048 schools, primary schools, doing science and maths English, strictly in English. No other state can do this. Sabah and Peninsula is at the mercy of the Minister of Education. So what happened last year was the Minister of Education attempted to force schools that are doing 100% DLP to sacrifice one class without being supported by any written guidelines. It was just a verbal instruction. To cut matters short, we cornered her in Parliament, and with the help of opposition MPs, she relented and gave way to these 5 schools that insisted they continue with 100% science, maths, and English. So now, as of 19 March this year, she's come up with a new circular insisting that every school must have one science, maths, and English in BM, even though parents don't want it. You see, when we came up with the dual language program, the spirit of DLP was that it should be parental choice. So now that parents want DLP, the minister is ignoring it. Because she says she is the guardian of Bahasa Melayu and she is the guardian of mother tongue. So whether the parents want it in English or not, they must have it in mother tongue. So this is what's happening this year. Parents are up in arms. And it is rather unfortunate because this is politics and education. Why is she bending backwards for Sarawak when Sabah and Peninsula can't have the same? We are all Malaysians after all. I've just heard also that I've just confirmed with Malay College Kuala Kangsar and Tengku Kursiah College that they have been allowed to do 100% dual language program. So the whole of Sarawak does 100% plus TKC plus MCKK and nobody else can do it. This is really serious. So, Paige led a media blitz last year. That's when we cornered her. I think we need to plan another media blitz this year because parents know the importance of science, maths, and English, STEM and English. They want their children to have the edge because when the time comes for them to build their careers, this is when their children will be future ready. This is what everybody's talking about. Universities are talking about future ready. Industries are talking about future ready. Here's a radical approach to ensure that children will be future ready. But the minister is putting her foot in the door. So, I hope that if there are parents of school-going children here, please be aware that the minister is using her veto power and to please, I don't know what, maybe to please the green wave. I don't know what it is. But in the end, parents are voters, and I think maybe, Dr. Mazli, next GE, instead of voting PKR, we have to vote Bersatu. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Datin. Right. Yes, round of applause for all the panel speakers. So I'm going to give the audience an opportunity to ask the questions. Yeah, I'll turn the forum around a little bit so that I know maybe from what has been forwarded by the speakers about research university. I like the idea of soul. Sometimes we think of university as brick and mortar, but it's not. It's human beings, and human beings is nothing if not soul. And again, certainly the importance of research excellence is here, and it's here to stay. But of course, there are things that we need to be cautious about. The whole idea of, previously, those of us in the university, we were told to publish or perish. Now it is publish and perish. Yeah, all kinds of retraction papers have been done. So what do we do about this? So again, questions from the floor, please feel free. I've got questions here, but I don't want to hog the platform. So please, any one of you to continue the conversation, perhaps something you want to clarify with the speakers here this afternoon. So just come to the microphones. Feel free, please. Yes, sir. Do tell us your name and where you're from, and then your question. Oh, hang on. Sorry, sir. Microphone is still asleep.
Check. All right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my name is Ernest Azad. Former educationist, but now I'm doing something else. But the point here, I'm looking at the topic. Again, we're talking about research excellence. Coming to that point, a lot of things we have talked about the whole morning. One of the things is this. If we look at our public universities, could somebody explain, maybe Dr. Masli could explain, he was a short while in the government, why is there not enough or sufficient excellence in terms of original research and in terms of original publications? Is it because of lack of funding? Or is it because of lack of facilities? Or is it because of too much of politics? Or is it because of, everybody being put into a silo so that they cannot do some original research? Because at the end of the day, I believe we are lacking in original research. We can look at hundreds of papers. You can take any scientific journal and you can see the publishers are from so many countries, including Asian countries. Very few from Malaysia. And if you're talking about excellence, I think that's the thing. Maybe somebody in the panel could answer that question. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Prof. Mazli?
The lack of originality and authenticity, it comes back to the way we think. I mean, I mentioned earlier, we lost the soul, we lost the mentality, we lost the right way of thinking, we lost the right way of looking at things, and we lost reading. And all this thing, you cannot start at the tertiary level. It should be start at the earliest level. I mean, Lata did mention about how we should nurture our children at a very young age to question and to be able to answer with wrong question. Answer with wrong answer, and without feel intimidated, feeling ashamed. And we should nurture them with the talent and the skill of how to look at certain things from different angle and different dimension, and understanding things from, different perspectives. This is what I believe we're lacking of, and we have started 6 years ago. For whatever reason, with the change of regimes and change of ministers, we lost it along the way, and seems that it's not coming back again. But again, if you ask me, you should go back with the way we think, the way we look at things, the way, Datuk Taj mentioned about ODL. Trust me, it's going to be the future. But it's not going to be monopolized only by OUM. I think in these coming years, you would see even the public universities and a lot of private universities are encroaching the ODL. But trust me, ODL will become primitive. The future is with micro-credential. Somebody talked about industry. Prof, you mentioned about cooperation with industry. You just imagine, maybe after 5 or 10 years, people don't need to go to university anymore. They just accumulate qualifications that they get from micro-credential that been recognized by KPMG, by ASIA, by Tesla, whatever. They accumulate every credentials, all the short courses. They can graduate, or they need not to graduate. They can go to any companies that could appreciate and recognize whatever they've gone through the micro-learnings, micro-credential. They can get employed more than people who spend their damn 4, 3, 5 years at the university. That is the future. Are we ready for it? And I just came back from China. It's quite surprising. 4 years ago, when we were confined forcibly inside our houses, I did introduce Malaysians into short online courses that have been introduced by universities in the States, in Europe, my own alma mater. And we managed to collect all those online certificates, and micro-credential again. And eventually I thought, wow, how many online courses have I enrolled? And that is going to be the future. And China is doing it now. I thought I heard somebody from Coursera is out there. Coursera, Khan Academy, mind you, in the next 5 years, the similar model of this online open universities will be the mainstream. Are we ready for that? Thank you very much.
Prof, sorry, go ahead.
Reasons, right? Many reasons why things are happening this way. Let's be realistic, right? So in terms of, I think the question just now was about academic dishonesty, right? Plagiarism and so on. To me, I think there are good professors, right? To be frank. On the ground, there are good professors. I've been with them, right? There are good professors in the public universities, private universities. But at the same time, there are some lecturers or academicians, they are trapped in this ranking game, in this rating game. They need numbers to publish, or you're going to be parish. So sometimes I do sympathize with all these academics that you have to do certain things to to be promoted and so on. So these are the things that really make sometimes academics, they want to cut corners and so on to be in that line or in that promotion base. So again, I think we have to be a reality. We have to move forward. To me, it's not about like firefighting, we do a bit of, intervention here and there. That doesn't work to me, it doesn't work. It takes a generation to me. To be realistic, it takes a generation to improve the way our generation, the young people, are going to think. So when you're talking about integrity, it has to be inculcated in the young age. It's not about at the university, you're going to talk about taking, hey, come and take integrity lesson, and you'll be very honest when you do your work. It doesn't happen that way. So to me, it has to start from basics, right? So I do believe I do agree with Datin Norazima that, you have to really overhaul if you're serious about education. If you do not want your education to be politicized, if every politicians are on the same page that, hey, we are here to develop the nation, put the politics aside, then I think we have to be frank, right? We have to re-look back at our education system, do a very good overhaul, let everybody have, that spirit of nation building rather than, going very individualistic and so on. So to me, if we are talking about the way forward, so we really have to revamp the whole education system, develop from young, because these are the people that are going to go through their life stages. If you inculcate honesty, integrity, ethical, critical thinking at a young age, they know what they are doing. For example, a lot of mentoring, coaching at a young age, career guidance, a very good career guidance system, knowing yourself, right? What is my strength? Why I want to study engineering? Why I want to go to the medicine field? So we have seen a lot of mismatching happens at the university. Very sad. I'm from University Technology Malaysia before I joined OUM. I asked all my students in engineering, why are you in this program? Oh, because of my mom, because of my dad. So, they struggle at the university because they are there because to fulfill their mom's dream. The mother did not manage to be an engineer, so son, you be the legacy of me, being the engineer. So again, these are the things that I believe. Let's be real, right? Let's be real. So to me, we must have a good support system at the very young age. We have to, really build up the character of our young people, young minds. They have to know what's their strength. Do a lot of self-reflection. Why you want to be in this field? Yeah, because I have this strength. I know what I want to be. So they're very focused rather than, they're being dictated by, by so many, so many people around them. They say, hey, you have to do this, you have to do that. So this is not the way forward. If we want our nation to be a great nation again, I believe we have to really sit down and, really focus on the way forward of the education. So that's my little thoughts about, it takes, I think, one generation to really, make it happen. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. Tajuddin. I just realized we have 5 more minutes to the end of the forum. I'm a little bit torn. Is there anyone in the audience who has a burning question to ask? Yes, okay. Oh, sorry. Hang on, yeah, we will try to get the mic done. For the rest of you, of course, if you do, I'm sure there are many with burning questions. Perhaps you can accost the speakers after the session and catch them. Right, yes, madam.
Okay, thank you. I'm Dr. Yasmin. I'm representing the National Association for the Gifted and Talented Children, Malaysia. And at the same time, I'm also in the PIBG, or Parents and Teachers Association for College Permata Pintar. I would like to bring to the attention of the special needs of the small group of our children who are gifted and talented, especially those who are gifted in terms of education. We are having these limitations in our school systems, whereby some of these kids, they are possible to go through accelerated education. Due to the limitation of the education policy, many of these children, they would either opt for private education and taking IDCSE or American HSD or so forth. And when they are completed at a younger age, they would have difficulty to go into either national higher education or even private education, which are bounded by our MQA policy. And similarly,
Sorry, madam.
yeah.
Would you be able to ask the questions so that we
Yeah,
can answer?
so my question would be, I would like our higher education to look into the policy on the restrictions that our gifted kids are facing when they have their education fast track or accelerated, because at a younger age they need to go to university. And similarly, in the College Permata Pintar as well, okay, when we're talking about research, okay, College Permata Pintar, one of the component of assessment, besides academic and co-curriculum, like in other schools, they also have research. All the children there will have to present their findings, research findings in a conference. But however, after schools, their pathway is not clear. Okay, they took American HSD as well as SPM, but their future is actually not very clear. Okay, I would like to have, as representing the parents of College Permata Pintar, I would really like to have an opportunity to speak about this with the Higher Education Ministry, please. And lastly, I would like to share my experience of my son. Okay, my son, this one is not in the College Permata Pintar, but he has completed his SPM several years back. He was
Okay.
So for a kid like him, you know, I really felt sorry. And we also didn't realize that. But when his brother went into College Permata Pintar, he was the brother who got the straight A+ and said that I can complete 3 years of Form 1, Form 2 and Form 3, the lower secondary in 1 year. He was so happy to see his brother went into College Permata Pintar.
Thank you.
Okay, but we were upset as well, and still College Permata Pintar would not be able to cater for the needs of my probably earlier gifted son and my gifted son now. That's what I would like to highlight, and please look into this matter. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, madam. I sense that there is no question from there directly, but I think it's such an important issue to raise. I hope anyone else in this room, maybe if you've heard that and you have something to say or do or help the children who are gifted, please do approach the madam over there. Yeah, please. So with literally no time left, I will just ask the panelists 2 words. 2 words. So 2 words for you to tell your audience and perhaps tell all of us. What do you think is the future of research and education in Malaysia? 2 words, no more than 2. Okay lah, 1 sentence lah. But you people, 1 sentence, complex sentence will come out. But okay, a quick 1 sentence from all of you, succinct. What do you think is the future of research, universities, research excellence, and just overall education? Prof.
There is a brighter future, but we must work harder.
Brilliant. Thank you, Prof. Dato'.
I just want to mention this.
Yes.
I think we have so many professors, it was mentioned just now, intelligent people. I really would like to see these people with brain and professors to contribute positively to nation building. It's all about nation building. Likewise, our children in the universities, they should be trained and garnered as the future leaders of the country with everything, including English and other aspects and moral values and so on. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato'. Yes, Datin.
Brighter future without politics in education. Thank you.
All right. Second that. Thank you, Datin. Prof.
So I believe good research will enhance teaching and education. Yeah, my thoughts.
Thank you, Prof. Yes, Ms. Lata.
Yeah, I would say promising with the right approach.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Lata. And finally, Prof. Rabia.
Yeah, coordinate. We have to collaborate. Industry, university, government agencies, and community. We have to work together with sincerity, ikhlas, and high integrity. So with that note, thank you very much. Selamat Hari Raya, maaf zahir batin.
Thank you, Prof. Rabia. So ladies and gentlemen, I always say that a successful forum doesn't provide you with answers. It provides you with more questions. And I hope that our session, 1 hour, 15 minutes, has been able to provide you with much more questions, many more questions than when you came into the room. So I would like to say thank you to all the panelists, speakers. You've been amazing. We have so much knowledge gained from you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please approach them. I will say on their behalf, approach them for any more questions. Thank you.